My name is Lisa Westfall, 35 years old. If someone had asked me what the strongest part of my relationship was, I would have said trust. Not passion, not comfort, not even love. Trust. Because love without trust is just surveillance with softer lighting. I lived in Denver, Colorado, and worked as an IT project manager for a medical software company. My boyfriend, Logan Pierce, was 32. He worked in marketing for a local fitness brand, the kind of man who could make strangers feel like old friends, and make old friends feel guilty for doubting him. We had been together for almost 9 years. No kids, one house, 2 dogs, a shared mortgage, and a life that looked stable enough from the outside that everyone assumed I would do anything to keep it. They were wrong. Logan was charming in the dangerous way. He always knew what to say, when to smile, when to touch your shoulder, when to make questioning him feel like an overreaction. For most of our relationship, I trusted him. Not because I was naive, but because I believed relationships needed breathing room. Trust, to me, meant not checking every shadow for a secret. The betrayal didn't reveal itself dramatically. There was no lipstick on his collar, no suspicious text flashing across his phone, no friend pulling me aside in a parking lot. It started with a hotel charge, $286.47, a boutique hotel downtown, Thursday night. I found it because I handled our monthly budget. Logan hated spreadsheets. I didn't. I was sitting at the kitchen island reviewing our shared credit card statement while he was upstairs getting ready for what he called a guy's dinner. I stared at the charge for a long time, not because I knew, but because I didn't want to know. I opened our shared calendar. That Thursday, Logan had told me he was working late for a product launch meeting. He came home around 11:30, kissed my cheek, said he was exhausted, and went straight upstairs to bed. Then I checked the hotel website. The room rate matched. My hands went cold. I pulled up our shared phone plan next. Not to spy, to manage bills. That same afternoon, Logan had a 2-hour call with Vanessa Carter, his ex-girlfriend. The one he said was harmless. The one who still liked every photo within 5 minutes. The one he once called, basically family now. In hindsight, that sentence should have been a siren. I didn't confront him that night. I printed the hotel charge. I downloaded the phone records. Then I found the payment transfers. Coffee, lunch, concert tickets. Little jokes attached to each transaction that suddenly looked less like friendship and more like arrogance. Then I waited. Logan came downstairs in a black shirt I had bought him for our anniversary, fixing his watch in the hallway mirror. "How do I look?" he asked. I said, "Like you're going out." He laughed. "Don't be weird." There it was, the first defense. Make me feel strange for noticing. I asked, "Who's going?" "Jason, Ryan, and Marcus." He answered too quickly. I nodded, then texted Jason. "Hope you guys have fun tonight. Tell Logan not to drink too much." 3 minutes later, Jason replied, "What dinner?" I looked at the message. Then I looked at Logan. He was putting on cologne in the hallway mirror. I said, "Jason says there's no dinner." He froze. Not fully. Just enough. Then he said, "Why are you texting my friends?" I said, "Why are you lying about them?" His face changed. The performance dropped. Then another one replaced it. "Lisa, don't start." I placed the hotel charge on the kitchen island. He looked down. His mouth opened, closed, then opened again. And then he said the line that ended everything. "It was just one mistake. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't ask how he could do this to me." I said, "So is signing one breakup agreement." His eyes widened. That was the first moment he understood I wasn't asking for an explanation. I was making a decision. He started talking fast. It didn't mean anything. He was lonely. I worked too much. Vanessa understood him because she knew him before all the pressure. He felt unseen. He never planned for it to happen. It only happened once. I reached into the folder and placed the second page beside the first. The room was booked for 2 nights. Silence. His face drained. You looked into it. You put it on our shared card. Somehow, that seemed to offend him more than the cheating. He whispered, "Lisa, please." I stood up. "No." He followed me upstairs while I pulled a travel bag from the closet. "We need to talk." "We did. You lied. I found out. You minimized it. I'm leaving. You're being cold." I folded 2 sweaters, 3 shirts, jeans, my work laptop, medication, passport, and the folder. Everything had a place. Everything except him. I looked at him in the doorway. "No, Logan. I'm being accurate." He followed me downstairs, panic replacing charm. "Where are you going?" "My sister Claire's." "For how long?" "I don't know." "You can't just walk away. I picked up my keys. Watch me." Outside, the autumn air felt strangely clean, like my lungs had been underwater for months without realizing it. Logan followed me to the driveway. "I love you," he said. I kept loading the car. "I'll end it with Vanessa." I stopped then, slowly closed the trunk and looked at him. "You're saying that because you got caught." "No." "Then when were you going to end it?" Silence. "Tomorrow? Next week? After the next hotel?" He lowered his head, and his silence answered everything. Neighbors had started noticing. Curtains moved. A woman walking her dog slowed down. Logan dropped his voice. "Please don't ruin my life over this." That was when I truly understood. He wasn't afraid of losing me. He was afraid of being seen clearly. I said, "I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped protecting it." Then I got in my car. In the rearview mirror, he stood under the porch light of the house we had once planned to grow old in, looking smaller than I had ever seen him. It was 12:14 a.m. when I pulled into my older sister Claire's driveway. She opened the door before I even knocked. One look at my face was enough. She didn't ask stupid questions. She simply stepped aside and said, "Guest room's ready." I tried to smile. "You knew something was wrong." Claire's eyes softened. "You stopped laughing." That broke me more than the receipt. She hugged me so tightly I finally cried. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to admit that something in me had been holding its breath for too long. When she let go, she asked, "Tea or wine?" I wiped my face. "Tea." She nodded. "Good choice." That night, Logan called 27 times before sunrise. I didn't answer, because sometimes the first real act of self-respect is letting a phone ring in the dark. I woke up to 43 missed calls. By noon, there were 58. By dinner, the number had climbed past 70. Logan wasn't just calling. He was writing novels through text messages. I made the biggest mistake of my life. "Please let me explain. You're throwing away 9 years because you're angry. Please don't tell anyone." That last message caught my attention. Not "please don't leave me." Not "please let me fix this." Just, "please don't tell anyone." His reputation had suddenly become more valuable than the relationship he'd destroyed. I never replied. At 1:30 that afternoon, my phone rang again. This time it was his mother, Elaine Pierce. I answered because she had always treated me like family. "Lisa," she said softly, "Logan is a mess. He says you left after a terrible argument." I closed my eyes for a second, then answered calmly, "Elaine, Logan cheated on me with Vanessa. They spent 2 nights in a hotel and paid for it using our shared credit card." Silence. Long silence. Finally, she whispered, "He told me it was only emotional." I looked at the printed hotel receipt lying on Claire's dining table. The room was booked for 2 nights. Another pause. Then I heard her take a shaky breath. Oh my God. There was no defense, no excuses, only disappointment. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart." Those words nearly made me cry. Not because they changed anything, because they were honest. Before hanging up, she quietly said, I love my son, but what he did was wrong. Unexpected kindness hurts differently. It reminds you that honesty still exists. That afternoon, the messages from Logan's friends started arriving. Megan texted first. He's falling apart. Please don't make permanent decisions while emotions are high. Instead of arguing, I sent her one picture, the hotel receipt. She never replied. About an hour later, Jason called. His voice sounded embarrassed. I'm sorry, Lisa. You don't owe me an apology. I think I do. He sighed. Logan has been disappearing from group events for months. Months. That single word settled heavily inside my chest. So, everyone knew? No. We knew something was strange. He always had an excuse. Late meeting, client dinner, family emergency. Jason hesitated. I should have questioned it sooner. I thanked him before hanging up. Then I opened the folder and wrote one more word across the top of a blank page. Months. Patterns matter. The following morning, Claire drove me to meet my attorney, Rebecca Nolan. She reviewed everything carefully. The mortgage, retirement accounts, joint savings, bank statements, the hotel receipt, phone records, Venmo transfers. When she finished reading, she folded her hands. Colorado follows equitable distribution. The affair itself won't determine everything, but using shared funds during the affair can absolutely matter. I nodded. She continued. From this point forward, don't threaten him. Don't argue. Don't post online. Document everything. I smiled faintly. I've already started. She smiled back. I can see that. That afternoon, Claire and I returned to the house. Before leaving, I texted Logan. I'll be there from 3 until 5 to collect my belongings. Claire will be with me. His reply came almost immediately. You're bringing your sister like I'm dangerous? I answered. I'm bringing a witness. When we arrived, Logan was sitting alone at the kitchen island wearing one of my oversized hoodies. The sight almost made me laugh. He was trying to wrap himself in something that still belonged to me. The dogs ran toward me the second I opened the door. One buried his face against my legs. The other kept looking back and forth between us, confused why we weren't standing together. That hurt more than seeing Logan. He slowly stood. Lisa. I walked past him. Can we please talk privately? No. He turned toward Claire. Could you give us 5 minutes? Claire crossed her arms. Absolutely not. I almost smiled. She had always been the stronger one between us. We moved through the house one room at a time. Clothes, shoes, books, family photographs from my side, my grandmother's quilt, my work equipment, important documents. Everything went neatly into labeled boxes. Logan followed us everywhere, sometimes apologizing, sometimes crying, sometimes blaming stress, sometimes blaming himself, then blaming me, then apologizing again. Watching him switch emotions every few minutes was exhausting. Finally, he snapped. You're acting like I committed some horrible crime. I looked at him without raising my voice. No, I'm acting like you betrayed someone who trusted you. He flinched. Good. Truth should weigh something. Before leaving, I reached into my pocket and placed my house key on the kitchen island. Beside it, I laid the printed hotel receipt. The key represented the home we had built. The receipt represented the moment it stopped being one. Logan stared at both pieces of paper as if they had become heavier than bricks. My attorney will contact you, I said. Then Claire carried the last box outside. Neither of us looked back. 3 days later, Logan appeared outside Claire's townhouse holding a paper bag from my favorite Thai restaurant. He texted, I brought dinner. Please, just give me 10 minutes. I ignored every message. He knocked for nearly 15 minutes. Finally, Claire opened the door with the security chain still locked. Logan, I just need to see Lisa. No. This is between me and her. Claire didn't hesitate. You should have remembered that before you spent 2 nights in a hotel with your ex. Several neighbors looked over. His face turned bright red. Please, Claire pointed toward the sidewalk. Leave. He finally walked away. I watched from the upstairs window without moving. For the first time. He looked like someone realizing regret always arrives after the damage is done. A few days later, he tried again, this time at my office. Reception called upstairs. Lisa, a man is here saying he needs to drop off your medication. I frowned. I already had my medication. He found an empty prescription bottle, I muttered. The receptionist paused. You know him? Unfortunately. I asked security to escort him out. Then I emailed Human Resources and Building Management. My former partner is not authorized to enter the building or deliver personal items. Please contact security immediately if he returns. Short. Professional. No drama. Exactly the way Rebecca advised. By the end of the second week, Rebecca officially filed the separation paperwork. When Logan received the documents, his apologies disappeared. His anger replaced them. You humiliated me. You told people. My mother won't even answer my calls. You're ruining my life. I replied only once. Your choices are not my responsibility to manage. Then I blocked his number. For the first time since discovering the hotel receipt, the silence belonged to me again. The third week changed everything. Until then, the truth had mostly stayed between Logan, me, and the people closest to us. That didn't last. One Tuesday afternoon, I received an Instagram message from a man named Daniel Foster. His profile picture showed him standing beside Vanessa. My stomach tightened before I even opened the message. Lisa, I'm sorry to bother you, but I need to know the truth. Did Logan and Vanessa have an affair? I stared at the screen for almost a full minute. I hated what answering would do. Not because it would hurt Logan, because it would destroy another innocent person's life. Then I remembered something Rebecca had told me. You are not responsible for protecting people from the consequences of someone else's choices. I replied honestly, yes. I have hotel receipts, phone records, and financial records showing they lied about where they were. I'm sorry, Daniel asked for proof. I didn't send everything, only enough. The hotel receipt, the phone log, a few payment transfers. Enough to confirm the truth without turning someone else's heartbreak into entertainment. Less than 2 hours later, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered but said nothing. Lisa? It was Logan. His voice was shaking with anger. You had no right dragging Daniel into this. I leaned back in my chair. I didn't drag him anywhere. You ruined Vanessa's relationship. No, you and Vanessa ruined it. Silence. Then he tried another excuse. Vanessa told me you and I were basically over. I almost laughed. Did she tell Daniel that while you were still sleeping in our house every night? He didn't answer. Because he couldn't. This doesn't have to get uglier, he muttered. It already is. I hung up. Then I printed the call log and placed it inside the folder. Documentation. Always documentation. A few days later, Logan crossed another boundary. He showed up outside Claire's townhouse carrying a paper bag from my favorite Thai restaurant. The security camera captured everything. He texted, Please, just 10 minutes. I brought your favorite dinner. I know you're inside. I ignored every message. He knocked for nearly 15 minutes. Finally, Claire opened the door with the security chain still attached. Go home, Logan. I just want to talk. You've already said enough. This is between Lisa and me. Claire looked him straight in the eye. You should have remembered that before you checked into that hotel. Several neighbors had stepped outside. He noticed. His shoulders dropped. Without another word, he walked away. I watched from upstairs, hidden behind the curtain. That was the first time I realized he wasn't trying to save our relationship anymore. He was trying to escape the consequences. The following Monday, he appeared at my office. Reception called upstairs. Lisa, someone says he needs to deliver medication. I smiled sadly. I already have my medication. Security escorted him out before he reached the elevators. That afternoon, I sent one final email to Human Resources. My former partner is not permitted inside this building. Please contact security immediately if he returns. Facts. Nothing more. Rebecca was right. Documentation protects you when emotions cannot. By the end of the month, the separation paperwork had officially been filed. Logan's behavior changed overnight. The apologies disappeared. Anger replaced them. You embarrassed me. My mother won't speak to me. Vanessa lost everything because of you. I replied only once. Your choices are not my responsibility. Then I blocked every remaining number he used. That weekend, Logan posted a black and white selfie online. His caption read, "The deepest betrayal is discovering the person you loved was just waiting for a reason to leave." I stared at it for a few seconds. The irony was almost impressive. Before I could even close the app, Daniel commented underneath, "Delete this before I post the hotel receipts." The post disappeared within 6 minutes. After that, people stopped defending Logan. Even Megan called me. "I owe you an apology," she admitted. I believed his version. "I know. I'm sorry. So am I." Sometimes that was enough. Then came the final attempt. Claire forwarded me a screenshot. Logan had texted her instead of me. "Tell Lisa Vanessa might be pregnant. She needs to stop doing this." For a split second, my stomach dropped. Then I remembered the timeline. Logan and I hadn't been intimate for nearly 2 months before the hotel stay. Rebecca wasn't surprised. She immediately emailed his attorney. "If your client claims a pregnancy affecting these proceedings, please provide medical documentation through counsel. Any future legal obligations will be addressed after verification." The subject was never mentioned again. Just like that. The miracle disappeared. A week later, I learned that Logan had also lost his position at work. Not because of me. Daniel had discovered company messages between Logan and Vanessa that showed they had used business trips and client meetings as cover for their affair. Human Resources handled the rest. Logan still blamed me. He sent one final email before every channel between us was closed. "You won. I hope you're happy after destroying everyone." I read it once, then answered with the last sentence I would ever send him. "I didn't destroy anything. I simply stopped protecting your lies." 3 months later, our separation became official. The house was sold. That hurt more than I expected. I loved the back deck we built together. I loved the kitchen backsplash we installed ourselves after watching 3 YouTube tutorials. I loved the spare bedroom we once talked about turning into a nursery. But homes can become haunted long before anyone moves out. The equity was divided fairly. Logan reimbursed our shared account for the hotel expenses and several other affair-related purchases Rebecca uncovered. It wasn't a fortune. Just under $2,000. But it mattered. Symbols matter. The hardest decision involved our dogs. After several conversations, we agreed each of us would keep one. Watching them separate was heartbreaking, but forcing them into months of legal fighting would have been selfish. I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment overlooking Sloan Lake. Smaller kitchen, better view, much quieter life. Without constant emotional chaos, my work changed too. A few months later, I was promoted to senior project lead. Turns out sleeping through the night improves your performance. Logan moved back in with his mother for a while. One afternoon, after everything had been finalized, Elaine called me. "I know you'll probably never be part of our family again," she said quietly, "but I wanted you to know something." I waited. "You were good to my son." Tears filled my eyes. "I tried." "I know. I'm sorry he couldn't appreciate it." That conversation stayed with me. About a month later, I ran into Logan at a grocery store. Of course. Denver suddenly felt very small. He looked thinner. Older somehow. No confidence. No performance. Just regret. "Lisa." "Logan." He glanced into my shopping cart before looking back at me. "You look happy." "I'm healing." He swallowed. "I really did love you." For a moment, I believed him. That was the saddest part. Some people truly love you. They simply don't love you enough to choose you over themselves. He finally asked the question he'd probably rehearsed 100 times. Do you hate me? I thought about it carefully, then answered honestly. No, I just don't trust you anymore. And that matters more. His eyes filled with tears. Mine didn't. I wished him well, then walked away. Not dramatically, peacefully. 6 months after finding that hotel receipt, I met someone new. Ethan Walker. We started slowly. Coffee. A walk around the lake. Dinner. Another dinner. He knew I had been betrayed. He never rushed me to heal. He never asked me to prove I was over my past. He simply showed up consistently. For the first time in a long time, consistency felt romantic. I still keep the folder, the hotel receipt, phone records, screenshots, legal documents. Not because I enjoy remembering, because they remind me of something important. I wasn't paranoid, I wasn't cold, I wasn't abandoning my relationship. I was responding to reality. People who cheat often try to make the discovery look worse than the betrayal. They criticize your reaction instead of their decisions. They debate your tone instead of their lies. They hope you'll spend so much energy defending yourself that no one notices what they actually did. Logan called it one mistake. It never was. Cheating isn't one mistake. It's a chain of deliberate choices. A message answered. A lie told. A boundary crossed. A hotel booked. A promise broken. A kiss given to someone else before coming home and pretending everything was normal. One mistake is forgetting milk at the grocery store. Cheating is architecture. You build it one decision at a time, and when it finally collapses, you don't get to blame the person who stopped holding up the roof. So yes, walking away was painful, but staying would have cost me something far more valuable than love. It would have cost me myself.